For months, opposition MPs have been demanding answers about these scientists and their Chinese students, escorted out of the country's only Level 4 lab in Winnipeg amidst an internal review and RCMP investigation.
When is the government going to start being accountable to this House of Commons and to answer the questions?
And they have a lot of them, about Dr. Jianguo Chu's travel to Wuhan, China, where she was training staff and developing operating procedures at the new Level 4 lab there. As well, a shipment of viruses, including Ebola, that she sent to the Wuhan lab in 2019.
I'll ask the Prime Minister, why are they covering up information about scientists, about policies between our top secret Winnipeg lab and the Wuhan Institute of Virology?
But two former colleagues of Chu's are speaking out, saying all the speculation is wrong.
From her own words to me, she told me, like, this is a misunderstanding, and I don't know why, I was walked out of the building.
Gary Kobinger has been watching all of this with dismay and disbelief from his lab at Laval University. He was Chu's boss in Winnipeg. Together, they developed an Ebola vaccine that saved lives and won international praise.
This work can't be done without teamwork.
She's a very ethical person. She was a very loyal person at the time she was there.
Kobinger believes this all started over an intellectual property question. He says someone flagged Chu's trips to the Wuhan lab, concerned she was sharing proprietary information about biosafety protocols.
Sharing this is it intellectual property? Really? Are you breaching the intellectual property because you're saying, well, on our side, the way we decontaminate this material is A, B, C, D. How do you do it on your side?
The Public Health Agency was also surprised to find Chu listed on 2 patents filed by Chinese agencies. The Winnipeg lab was not named, which means Canada would have a hard time getting royalties associated with any potential sales of the technology. But is that enough to launch an RCMP investigation, strip the scientists of their security clearances, and ultimately fire them?
At NML? Yes, I would say. Knee-jerk reactions are what NML are famous for, especially with staff.
We're not identifying this former scientist of the National Microbiology Lab. He fears retribution from the Public Health Agency for speaking with us. Someone else is reading his words.
NML, they have a lot of problems they're trying to cover up.
There are questions about at least one of Chu's students and how he got inside the lab. Fai Huyan has affiliations to a research arm of the People's Liberation Army of China.
This could be something that fell through the cracks, without question.
One of those cracks, he says, shows a fault in the security clearance protocol. To fast-track lab access and avoid deep background checks, someone can apply for what's called reliability status instead of secret or top-secret clearance. Sources tell CBC News in some cases involving Chu students, limitations were placed on even that reliability access, limitations which were sometimes ignored.
I've worked at NML long enough that you see people wandering around where they shouldn't be. Generally, you'll send them to the lab, they'll do their work, you'll be in your office, and then they can walk around and do what they want.
Authorities we've spoken to about this are tight-lipped. The Public Health Agency says disclosure of any information to do with this case is prohibited unless authorized by the Attorney General or the federal court. CSIS never confirms or denies anything to do with its cases, and the RCMP won't talk about an ongoing investigation.
At the next stop sign, turn left.
Chu and her husband Kidding Chung's whereabouts are unknown. When CBC recently visited their primary residence in Winnipeg, a young man answered the door.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
In a brief conversation, he would not confirm if the couple is still in Winnipeg, but told us he would reach them.
Yeah, I can relay your message, but again, no guarantees, right?
No guarantees the truth will ever be known, unless Chu comes forward to tell her story or those uncensored documents are revealed. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.